thought we'd go over the edit mesh menu command called Detach. It's a relatively simple command. So you see here there's no options here. Next to it, these little boxes here, we go into the options, settings, and things for different commands, but this one, Detach, does not have any options or settings. It's a simple command. It's a relatively short video. So just to demonstrate this, I'll go to Create, Polygon Primitives, Plane. Make this bigger, scale it up. I'll hide the grid just so it's not confusing. So what this Detach does is it will, I'm just going to click this little dotted line here to break this off. It will separate components. So you can choose, for example, a face and say Detach. And now that face is a separate piece from the original mesh. Now I will want to point out that it's not a separate object. You see here when I click on the plane, that face is included in that selection, but it is a separate entity, a separate surface from the original plane. I can also go to edges, so I grab this edge, I'll shift, double click this edge, so I have this line of edges like this, and I can say Detach, and visually maybe nothing really looks different, but I can grab these faces and kind of move them over, and you can see here those edges are separate now. There's a slit through the plane along that edge loop that I had selected. And where the edges was not selected, the detach did not take place, so they're still connected down here. And then finally vertices. We can grab some vertices. I'll just grab one and say detach. So if I move these faces around, you can kind of see what happened here. That vertex was split into separate vertices that are connected to these different faces, kind of creating it's like kind of a star pattern. And yeah, so you can very easily use this command to just blow apart certain components, depending on which kind of components you're selecting, separating them from the original surface. So some practical uses, let's say you wanted to make a hole, for example, or you wanted to insert, say, I don't know, just a quick example here. So we've got a cylinder. I'll make it a relatively simple cylinder. And let's say you wanted this cylinder to kind of merge into the plane. I'm going to turn on shading and then go down here to wireframe on shaded so I can see the wireframe on the objects I don't have selected. I'm just going to kind of line this surface up with this face here, and let's just say we grab that face. Now you could just delete it, delete that face, no problem. And if I wanted to kind of merge this cylinder, I'm just going to delete the face on the bottom of the cylinder down here. You know, typically what I might have to do is, because this cylinder has several facets going along it and I want to kind of merge it into this square shape, I would need to go to my cutting tools and start like cutting additional edges in here so that we can, you know, I can grab this point and merge it to that point and so on. But what I could do instead is I can grab the 4 vertices on the corners here and say, you know, detach. And so now I can kind of scale this in, and you can kind of see we can get a little bit more stuff going on here, like so, something like this. So then I can start to kind of attach these points, something like this. Again, this is kind of just a quick and just off the top of my head example of potential ways of using this. And then let's say we can grab these extra points and kind of merge them in here too. Just point snapping them by holding the V key. Something like this. I'll just select all these and edit mesh, and we'll just merge those together. And then for these holes that are still left over, I can use another tool, mesh tools, append to polygon, and kind of click on that line, click on that line. I have videos going over some of these other tools as well if you're not sure about how they work. Just kind of filling in the gaps here. Like so. So now I have this hole there that this cylinder could merge into. So I can grab both these shapes. I'm going to mesh, combine, and then for those vertices where the cylinder meets the plane, I'll select the box around all of those, edit mesh merge. And so when I grab the box, the cylinder I should say, you see it's attached to that plane now. And so I could, for example, insert another edge loop at the bottom of this cylinder, something like this. And when I press the 3 key, you can see how that kind of just blends in like this. Now the top of the cylinder is kind of getting weird, so I'm going to delete that surface there. But press 3, there we go. Turn off that wireframe unshaded. And so really quickly I can get that cylinder and that plane and kind of merge them together like this, and have this these two shapes connected. And again, using that detach command is relatively quick. You grab those vertices and detach them, start point snapping vertices together, filling in gaps, merging things together, and it just makes the process a bit quicker than, say, having to cut in additional edges by hand and doing more manipulation than maybe you need to. That kind of thing. So detach is pretty cool. Again, you can press the 1 key, go back to the non-smoothed look, but again, you can cut or detach edges, vertices, and faces like so. And this face, by the way, if you ever do want it to be its own separate object, not just a separate face on this object, you can go to Mesh Separate, and now it's its own object. I can do Modify Center Pivot. There we go. Put the pivot point for this plane up here, and this object its own object over here. So I've separated them into two separate objects that way by going to Mesh Separate after doing the detach on the face. So yeah, quick little command there under Edit Mesh Detach. Well, hope you learned something new, or at least something valuable, and I hope you have a good rest of your day.